Now it is time to shade our masked self-portraits, and we are going to be shading with just a pencil. And what I have here on my right is a cotton ball, I have a Q-tip, and I also have a stump. A stump is a tool that artists used for blending and showing value, and that's what this is going to be all about, showing value. And value is the light and darkness of a color. So I've already done one side of it, and now I'm going to show you how to do the other side. So we're going to do it together. So I always like to begin with the eye, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to darken up the pupil. That is the black spot that we see from, and that is going to get darkened really, really dark. The darkest you can get using your pencil. And I also shade pretty dark around the edge. It really depends on your eye color. My eyes are a green, but there's some lights and darks in my green. So again, it depends on the color of your eye. If you have dark eyes, you may want to go a little bit darker than what I'm about to show you. But here's another thing that I really like to do. So once I darken up the pupil and I darken up the edge of the iris, I then draw lines, very light lines, almost like the spokes on a wheel, and they radiate out from the pupil. So I go to the pupil and I come out to the edge of the iris. Nothing goes inside of this little white shine. That's going to be the reflection of our eye, and it's going to make it look very realistic. So I go ahead and I do that. You can do as many or as little as you like. There really is no right or wrong way. And now I am going to shade just a little bit darker around the edge of my pupil. Not as dark as the pupil, maybe like a medium. And I'm going to do the same thing around the edge of the iris. And I'm going to go all the way around. And again, my pencil is going up and down in the direction of those lines radiating out from the pupil. Okay? And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to darken up the top lid and just shade a little bit underneath it. I'm shading it very gently with my pencil. The pupil, or rather the tear duct, is going to get shaded as well. And the eyelid is going to get a little bit darker. Okay, now for the eyelashes, I really like using the tip of my pencil, and I'm going to darken them up just a little bit. Remember, they curve out and then they curve in the other direction. And once I do that, I'm just going to shade in the very, very inside part, the part that is touching the actual lid. I don't shade all the way out. Okay, now for my eyebrows, eyebrows are short little hairs, so you never want to draw really long lines. I draw my lines and I draw them always starting up. And again, you can use a mirror if you have one available for you. And you're going to draw short little lines because our eyebrows are made up of short little hairs. And when I get to the top of the arch, I start turning down. Okay, and again, short little hairs. And boys and girls, you really want to make sure you have a sharp pencil for this. And you also want to use the tip and the side of it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take the side of my pencil. I'm holding it instead of like this, I'm going to hold it on the side like this. And I am going to very lightly just start shading in around the corner of the eye, the eyelid. And again, if you have a mirror available to you, you'll definitely want to take a look at it. I'm going to shade around the edge of the face. And here I do almost like an upside down triangle. So I'm going to shade this way, and then I'm going to come back up this way and a little bit very lightly under the eye. And again, if you have a darker skin tone, you can go a little bit heavier. I always like to start off very, very lightly and then work my way to the darker areas. So right underneath the nose, I'm going to do a little bit of a U. Very lightly, I'm going to now take the tip of my pencil and darken up right under my nose. That's the nostrils, that's where we breathe from. And I'm gonna go up. Remember that circle that we did in the beginning? I'm gonna darken it up again. I'm gonna darken up right under the edge of the hair. And right under my chin on my neck, there would be a shadow. Okay, and now on my lips, the center line is always the darkest. And I'm gonna darken up the edge just a little bit. And then I like to make lines here also, because if you take a really close look at your lips, you're going to notice that you have lines on your lips. And then I'm going to take the side of my pencil again and just shade it in very gently, because we really want to get as many different values as we can. A lot of lights, mediums, and darks. Now, I still haven't used my stump or my cotton ball. I'll use that in just a minute. But now I want to talk to you a little bit about the hair. So for the hair, I am going to use the side of my pencil again. And again, depending on the color of your hair, it depends on how dark or light you make it. I have blonde hair, but I also have some dark areas in it. So I'm going to use the side for some thicker lines, and you always want to draw the lines in the direction that you brush or comb your hair. So I have my hair in a braid here, so I am going to make some lines going this way, make some going this way, and I'm using thick lines here, but I am also going to use now the very tip of my pencil for some more softer, more detailed hairs. And I am going to darken up and leave a little shine for my earrings. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the stump, or you can take a Q-tip, whatever you have available to you, and I'm going to very gently rub across the dark area and the light area of my eye. And I want to make sure I'm going to erase a little bit, because I really want that white shine to stay really nice and white. And I'm very gently rubbing over all of the shadows that I made. Now look, that came out just a little bit too dark. So I'm going to take my Q-tip and rub that a little bit more, because as you can see, this was very, very used up and dirty, and that's okay. You work with what you have, okay? What I don't want to do is I don't want to rub too hard and make everything one value, okay? You want to rub lightly with whatever tool you're using, and you want to make sure you don't see any of those pencil lines anymore. Okay, what you don't want to do is take the Q-tip and rub over everything, because you're going to get one value, and you don't want to get one value. You want to get different values. You want to get lights, mediums, and darks. Maybe you're in a room where the light is shining more on one side than the other side. If that's the case, then one side of your face would be a little bit darker than the other one. Now, once I rub in and blend some of my areas, I can then go back in and now darken it up a little bit more. So I want to darken up this just a little bit more, because when you blend, it does take away a lot of the details. So I want to bring back some of those details by darkening them up. And the lashes again, I really want those to be on the tip of my pencil so they come out nice and sharp and detailed. Okay, and I'm just going to make it a little bit darker so it matches the other eye. And this is really, I think, where you want to spend the most of your time, is in the eyes, because the eyes can be so expressive. Okay, now I want to show some more little details of, maybe I have a little curl coming down, and I'm using the tip of my pencil for this. Maybe some of my braid came undone. Okay, and again, you can just fill in wherever you feel like you need a little bit more shadow, right underneath the eyelid, around the eye. And we will get much more into shading the face and the details of the face later this year. So I am going to work on the outside now, and for the mask and the background I am going to add color, but I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to show value. Remember, value is the lightness or darkness of a color. So I have shaded the inside face and I also did the outside. Again, keep in mind that when you are shading under the eye, you are also shading at the same tone as the skin. I did the hair, this time I did it down on the outside. On the inside, it is in a braid. And now for the mask and for the background, I am going to use two different things. So for the mask, I am going to use crayons, and for the background, I am going to use watercolor, and I am going to show value again. So I'm going to show lights, mediums, and darks, both in the mask with a crayon, and lights, mediums, and darks in the background with the watercolor, showing value. So I colored my mask with crayons, and you can see that I also showed value, dark around the edges, a little bit medium and light in the center. But for the background, I am going to use watercolor. And just like I was talking to you about when we did the decoupage, whenever you use a paintbrush, especially with paint and watercolor, you dip into the water and you drag. Always remember that, dip and drag, so that you don't have water spilling all over the place or drops. Now I want to pick up on those warm colors of my mask, so I'm going to do a reddish orange in the background, and again I'm going to show value. I want it to go from maybe a dark to a medium to a light. So I dip, I drag, and I'm just going to go to my red and brush it on. I'm not scooping it out, I'm not digging it out with my brush. I really want to go from a dark red to a medium red and then work my way down. And with watercolor, you need water to color. So you will be going back to your little water cup quite often, and you can choose whatever colors you want. And just make sure that you are always showing value.